Hello, I'm your host, Jean-Paul Baran, President of Focus on the Family Canada. Welcome to the Thriving Family, a Focus on the Family Canada podcast. This is the space where family, faith, and culture intersect. Thanks to generous donors who support our ministry, you can enjoy the Thriving Family podcast ad-free without any interruptions. In this season of the podcast, we're talking about healing scars. These are difficult and challenging topics, but I'm so thankful to serve God, the great physician who has the power to restore all. Today's episode tackles a very sensitive and difficult subject: sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is on the rise in Canada. This episode will educate you about how traffickers operate and what to be aware of as a parent. Please note that this episode mentions sexual assaults and is not suitable for children. We recommend parents listen to this episode to discern if it's right to let their teenagers listen. Let's dive in.
An important note before we begin. If you are concerned that your child could be the victim of sex trafficking or is being groomed for sex trafficking, you must intervene, but you should do so carefully to ensure you don't put your child's safety at risk. The Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline can be reached at 1-833-900-1010, and they can advise you on how to best proceed. Most importantly, any disclosure of sexual abuse made by a minor must be reported to the police or a child welfare agency right away. Can you imagine your daughter or even your son being targeted by a sex trafficker? Is it even possible that your child could be at risk? There's a common misperception among parents that sex trafficking victims are typically runaways picked up off the street, or kids who have the rare misfortune to be abducted by strangers. While both scenarios are pathways to victimization, and runaways truly are in great danger, the majority of sex trafficking victims are targeted and then ensnared by an acquaintance, someone who's gained their trust. And that puts any child anywhere at risk. Although girls are more frequently targeted by sex traffickers, boys can be targeted too. Traffickers prey on their victims' youthful naivety and are quick to notice kids who are loosely supervised either online or in their day-to-day life. Traffickers are also on the lookout for youth who feel misunderstood or alienated from their peers or parents, as they are easy to befriend, isolate, and later manipulate. Canadian mom Linda Harlows wants parents to understand just how readily a young woman can be lured into sex trafficking. In her book, Walk a Mile, A Mother's Journey into Her Daughter's Secret Life, Linda recounts how her daughter, whom she calls Kate in her book, was approached by her soon-to-be trafficker at a vulnerable time in her life. To Kate, this man was a boyfriend she was emotionally invested in, a boyfriend she believed truly loved her. Sharing some of her daughter's story with Focus on the Family Canada, Linda explains that when Kate was 17, she went to a party where she was drugged and raped by multiple young men. When Kate became pregnant, her friends and peers didn't believe her claim that her pregnancy was the result of an assault rather than consensual sex. Linda recalls that the police didn't believe Kate's story either, and every time her experience was questioned, Kate felt re-victimized. One day, when Kate was waiting outside her school and standing off to the side of a group who were ignoring her, a young man noticed Kate and came over and introduced himself. Soon, the young man reached out to Kate on social media, learned her story, and said he believed her, and that he was sorry that the rest of the world didn't believe her. Linda says he started telling Kate everything she needed to hear. Eventually, the young man started dating Kate. But Linda felt something was off. She and her husband could see that Kate was slowly pulling away from the family. Linda and her husband did everything they could to warn Kate as her boyfriend gained a stronger and stronger psychological hold over her. After the baby was born, Kate and her child lived in Linda's basement, but Kate and her boyfriend eventually moved out on their own. While they were renting their own place, Kate's boyfriend began trafficking her, claiming he needed her help to pay the bills. After 3.5 months of being trafficked, Kate knew she had to reach out for help. Her boyfriend had begun threatening to harm her baby as a means of manipulating her. Kate finally called home and said, "Mom, come pick me up." Kate spent nearly 10 years believing she had somehow said yes to the sex work. While volunteering with Victim Services Canada, however, Kate finally realized that she had been trafficked, that she had been coerced into something that she never chose for herself. It was at this time, nearly 10 years after she became a victim, that Kate finally told her parents about the trafficking. The news propelled Linda into her work in sex trafficking prevention. If I was educated on trafficking, if I knew how vulnerable she was, this may not have happened to Kate, Linda says. I'm not going to let anybody else put their head on the pillow at night with naivety being the reason why something happened to their child. So, what should parents watch for? Let's look back at Kate's story. Kate was approached by her boyfriend directly, but it's also common for victims to be approached by another girl, a new best friend, who is secretly recruiting victims for her handler, a trafficker who goes on to woo the victim into a dating relationship. It's that emotional entanglement that blinds the victim to the trafficker's true motives and intentions. Once the victim's love and trust start to falter, the trafficker uses shame, violence, drug dependence, and/or blackmail to control their victim. There are other common forms of ensnarement, too, that can be much more direct. The child meets someone online who wins their friendship. Then the child exchanges sexual images or agrees to a first, second, or third meeting that ends in assault or rape. Shame and blackmail then become effective tools for the trafficker. While any child can be targeted, sex traffickers will take advantage of certain habits and life experiences that leave a child especially vulnerable to exploitation. These include loose supervision by parents. For example, parents working long hours or fail to check up on sleepovers, visits to friends, etc. Feeling alienated from their parents and can't confide in parents due to fear or shame. Feeling alienated from their peers or friends. Has endured an early traumatic experience such as sexual abuse, rape, or an unplanned pregnancy. Neglecting to protect their privacy online by, for example, sharing their home address, identifying their school, allowing location sharing on apps, accepting friend requests from strangers. Experiencing loneliness and/or financial stress, which is a common experience for young single moms. Sharing nude images or appearing in a video taken with or without their knowledge, making them vulnerable to blackmail. Keeping secrets about threats of violence toward themselves or toward parents or siblings. Has a drug addiction. Has no strong family support or lives in the foster care system. Identifies as LGBTQ+. While this may be unthinkable for some parents, it's not unusual for a child to be trafficked while they are still living in the family home and appear to be living a normal life. Parents should stay alert for changes in their child's behavior, especially signs like these that suggest the child is being groomed or is already working in the sex trade. Sudden change in friend group, a new boyfriend, or a much older boyfriend. Seems overly influenced by their boyfriend or new friends. Growing isolation from parents and/or their previous friend group, becoming secretive or evasive, increase in sleepovers or evenings at friends' homes or attending parties, sudden change in academic performance, unexplained income, new possessions such as a new cell phone, new clothes, shoes, jewelry, purses, sudden change to a more provocative style of clothes or new hairstyle. A new tattoo. Traffickers will often brand their victims with a symbol or the trafficker's name. Appears tired, stressed, or more withdrawn than usual. Unexplained bruises, cuts, or burn marks. Possesses a second cell phone. Possesses keys you don't recognize or hotel key cards. Or starts using drugs. Jan Edwards, president and founder of the U.S.-based child trafficking prevention organization Paving the Way, wants parents to understand that even the most attentive parent may not notice any red flags. As she explains, in puberty, your body is changing, your brain is changing, your hormones are changing. If you add in a couple extra erratic behaviors, a parent might not notice. But predators know that parents are expecting this up and down erratic behavior, which is when they know to move in. We understand it's overwhelming to take in these warning signs. Here's the good news. According to experts, there's a way to prevent all of this. According to Edwards, intentionally getting to know your child is an important piece of prevention. She says, when you're with your kids, you start to see the subtle nuances of their growth and their development and the things that they're dealing with. You can then address it head on. In her advocacy and education, Linda Harlos teaches that the most important thing parents can do is to nurture a safe space at home. As she explains, My number one thing for parents is that they just need to constantly be available. They need to be their child's safe space. The child needs to be able to come to them and tell them anything about any topic without criticism or judgment. Because if parents don't allow that safe space to be with them, a trafficker will, and that's how they will keep them with them. Paving the Way recommends simple ways to engage your child daily. Ask them the question, "What are you grateful for today?" and share what you are grateful for too. Talk daily about life, fears, joys, etc. Share a challenge you are dealing with. Say, "I love you and I'm proud of you." Share a failure in your life and what you did about it. Share a success. Ask about their dreams for their future. Additionally, Edwards has learned not to jump in and try to fix her child's problems, which can sometimes make children less likely to open up to their parents. Here she explains, "I had to learn to ask my own daughter, 'Are you venting? Do you need me to agree with something? Or are we solving a problem?' It altered how I listened to her. Sometimes we will come back to something and she will say, 'Mom, I could really use your help on this,' and we work that out together." Edwards says that these olive branches of intentional engagement can set up a child for an emotionally healthy childhood. As she explains, it's the opportunity for them to have another safe adult. We are the safe space, and that's what they want from us. As parents, we have to figure out how to create that for them and with them. A child's nightmare is their parent being disappointed in them. If trafficking has already occurred, then what? As with any victimization, Linda Harlow says that the most important thing a child who has been trafficked needs to know is that it's not their fault, even if that realization doesn't occur right away. This takes years for victims, she says, and sometimes they don't ever recognize that it wasn't their fault. The parent needs to let them know that they're there for them and that it's going to be a process, and they're going to walk through this together. As her daughter Kate worked through her experience as a trafficking survivor, Linda had her own significant moment of healing when Kate said, "You know, Mama, it's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to hurt, and it's okay for you to be upset. It's okay, Mom, just grab my hand. We'll do this together." At that moment, Linda realized that, as a parent, she was a secondary victim of trafficking. Like a victim realizing they have been violated, Linda was able to understand why she herself was in such a deep fog for so long. Linda adds, "My heart just broke because my daughter went through all of that, and now she is giving me permission to cry. She is giving me permission to hurt. Parents of trafficking victims and survivors, we need to be believed, and we need not to be blamed." If you are concerned that your child could be the victim of sex trafficking or is being groomed for sex trafficking, you must intervene. But you should do so carefully to ensure you don't put your child's safety at risk. The Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline can be reached at 1-833-900-1010, and they can advise you on how to best proceed. Most importantly, any disclosure of sexual abuse made by a minor must also be reported to the police or a child welfare agency right away.
If you wish to talk about this further, or if it brought something up that you would like to talk through, you can have a free one-time consultation with our registered counselors at Focus on the Family Canada over the phone. Give us a call at 1-800-661-9800 to request a consult. It's our gift to you. Thanks for listening to today's episode of The Thriving Family, a podcast from Focus on the Family Canada. If you like this episode, please leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and be sure to subscribe. If you feel led, you can make a donation at focusonthefamily.ca/podcast giving. This program is available ad-free because of the generosity of our donors. Most importantly, please remember that we are here for you and your family.